paid attention to this specific part of the chapter on punctuation. I think this is a really important chapter, and I actually really like the way they handle punctuation in this book because I think it offers a very practical approach to commas. Commas specifically, because commas are so often used and so often misused that it's important for you to pay attention to the effect that they have. One thing I really like about this book is that for the most part, the rules they give you about how to use commas are actually good rules to follow. Some books will give you all kinds, just dozens and dozens of rules on commas that aren't really rules anymore because they're mostly just guidelines. The things that they talk about with commas in here are definitely there to clarify meaning, because remember, that's kind of the purpose of punctuation. It's to help draw attention to specific parts of your writing and to give clarification on what part of your sentence belongs to what part of your sentence. Let's see. Commas, for example, they talk about lists in your book and how you need to use commas to clarify the objects in a list. That's definitely a rule that you need to follow. But in terms of the style of punctuation, remember that a comma is actually originally there as a pause. Anytime you see a bit of punctuation, other than like quotation marks or apostrophes, but any like comma, colon, semicolon, dash, parentheses, all of those influence the speed that you read. So if you overuse commas, if you have too many of them, then your writing comes off as choppy and reads kind of like you have to take a breath all the time, and it gets really choppy and weird and just kind of awkward to read. But then if you never have any commas and nobody ever stops for breath and your writing sounds like this and nobody ever stops and it just keeps going and going and going, and then everybody's out of breath by the time they get to the end, and that's not good either. So one of the biggest hints I can give you when it comes to using punctuation like a comma is to practice reading your writing out loud and to pause every time you reach a bit of punctuation just to see if that pause feels right. Trust your gut on these things. There are a lot of rules to follow, and I'm sure I'll probably have instance in your writing to say, oh wait, you needed a comma there. But for the most part, commas and all those punctuation things they're just, you should be able to feel them because you communicate in English every day. Let's see. I think that might be about it. Oh, one last thing. Exclamation marks. Exclamation marks are wonderful, but you almost always overuse them. Especially you younger students. Exclamation marks are great, but you often use them way too often. So, when it comes to exclamation marks, make sure you limit them. In fact, I would suggest that you probably use no more than 1 or 2 per long assignment total, and even that's probably too much. And this is the reason. In modern writing style, exclamation marks are often used as kind of a substitute for poor writing. The thing is, your writing should be exciting enough, the words that you choose should be exciting enough without the exclamation mark so that your reader knows you're excited before they even get to the end. So be careful not to overuse exclamation marks. You can use them. I won't mark you off if you do, but if you overuse them, that's when I'm going to start saying, okay, hold it back, because then your exclamation mark actually loses its power, because the more you use it, the less real enthusiasm you seem to be showing. Alright, so that's your first lesson on punctuation. We actually have 2 more lessons coming up, and pretty soon we get to talk about my favorite bit of punctuation, the dash. I love the dash.